Hey, shalom, shalom. All right. Before I get started with this lesson today, I just want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakhakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations unto the elect. All right. Now, in this lesson today, all right, Lord willing, the title of this lesson will be Sitting with Your Thoughts is a Valuable Practice in Its Truth. All right, sitting with your thoughts is a valuable practice in this truth. All right, and what made me want to go into this lesson today is this video that I watched maybe like a month ago, and just made me think about it. As I was just sitting down watching the Apostle Gabar, because he played a video, that brought me, basically to remember this video that I watched, but with that being said, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I'm just going to play this video, pause it here and there, make a few points, and Lord willing, get some scriptures through the Holy Spirit, and Lord willing, you believers of the hopeful elect out there are, edified and exhorted. But let's get into it.
You need to be bored. You will have less meaning and you will be more depressed if you never are bored. I mean, it couldn't be clearer. Let me give you the good side of boredom in general. Boredom is a tendency for us to not be occupied otherwise cognitively, which switches over our thinking system to use a part of our brain that's called the default mode network. That sounds fancy. It's really not. The default mode network is a bunch of structures in your brain that switch on when you don't have anything else to think about.
And if you read this, it says default mode network, brain regions most active when the mind is at a wakeful rest, right? It's not distracted, with your phone or computer or TV, stuff like that. It says involved in self-reflection, daydreaming, memory, and imagining the future. Ooh, look at that. You see, but self-reflection. All right, what is another word for that? Self-examination. And the scriptures speak, about self-examination, to examine ourselves in this truth. All right, and a good, as I said here, in the title, sitting with your thoughts is a valuable practice, a valuable practice, to get you to self-reflect, to get you to realize your demons, to get you to basically figure out the best course of action, to live a righteous life on this earth, and it all goes back into what, just sitting with your thoughts, being bored, as this guy is saying here, being bored. That's basically saying sit with your thoughts, self-reflect, self-examine yourself, examine your day. What did you do that was right? What did you do that was wrong? What could you have done? What did you do? What didn't you not do enough of? You see, all this comes from just sitting down bored with your thoughts. No distractions, no phone, no TV. Just sitting down alone, by yourself, and just thinking. Just sitting there, just thinking, being bored. Accepting the boredom. Just letting your mind wander or meditating on the scriptures. But we're gonna get into all that. Let's keep playing.
So you forgot your phone and you're sitting at a light, for example. That's when your default mode network goes on. We don't like it. My colleague in the psychology department here at Harvard, Dan Gilbert, he did experiments where people had to sit in a room for 15 minutes with instructions to do absolutely nothing. And there was nothing in the room to do except there was a button in front of them that they could push. And if they did, they gave themselves a painful electric shock. Sit there bored or get a shock. A big majority of the participants gave themselves shocks instead of thinking about nothing. We don't like boredom. Boredom's terrible. Why is boredom so bad? Well, because the default mode network makes us think about things that might be kind of uncomfortable. When you think about
Right, think about things that are uncomfortable, right? Because in this truth, examining yourself, you have to, you have to be real with yourself. You have to be your own critic. That's what examining yourself is. Examining yourself, and realizing that you have demons, it's an uncomfortable process. You see, realizing that you have faults and that you need to fix them, all that is uncomfortable. That's why people, will, and speaking to myself first and foremost, I do this, a lot whenever, I'm sitting down bored and I'm faced with my thoughts, I'll try and distract myself, but I'm trying to get out of that. And that's why I'm doing this lesson today. I'm trying to get out of that. All right, I realize through the spirit that the phone and TV is all a distraction to get you away from doing this valuable practice. All right, sitting down with your thoughts. All right, because it can be beneficial. It can cause you, to basically find meaning. All right, your lot in this truth. All right, to realize demons that you have, and then face those demons. All right, because when sitting down bored and you're sitting with your thoughts and they get uncomfortable, the first thing you need to do is trying to distract yourself, watch TV, go on the phone. But no, that's the time. All right, when you're bored, when you're sitting with your thoughts, that's the time to what? To examine yourself. All right, to fight those demons. All right, well, not fight, but to realize the demons. All right, and then attack those demons. All right, if you were to just pick up your phone, you're just distracting yourself. You're just subverting that demon. The demon's always going to be there, but you just subverting. You're not really attacking it. You're not really facing the demon head on. You're not facing your problems head on. Or you're not facing your emotions head on. You just you're just submerging it, all right, by distracting yourself. No, in this truth, we need to face our demons. We need to face our innermost self, all right? We need to put that inner man into subjection, all right? And a valuable practice to be able to help you do this is sitting with your thoughts, all right, to be able to realize these demons, all right, to be able to realize your faults and how to fix them through the spirit, all right, to realize demons, and pray demons off, and work towards, being a better man, So let's continue going.
Well, your mind wanders and thinks about, for example, big questions of meaning in your life. What does my life mean? You go to kind of uncomfortable existential questions when
Right, that's it. And it can be uncomfortable. Sitting down with your thoughts, that can be uncomfortable, and a lot of people, they can't deal with that. But in this truth, we got to deal with it. We have the weapons. We were equipped with the weapons to be able to deal with that, to deal with the flesh, to deal with our inner man, our thoughts, the demons. We have these scriptures. We got prayer. We got fasting. You see? But you gotta sit with your thoughts. You got to realize these things. You got to examine yourself. All right? Instead of just distracting yourself with phones, all right, scrolling. I'm a sucker for that. You see, but I'm trying to get out of that through the spirit, and sit there bored. All right, sit there with my thoughts and really, just meditate. Think about things. Think about the scriptures. Think about how I can better myself. All right, that's what we should really be focusing on in this truth. Keep going.
bored. That turns out to be incredibly important.
Right, lead you to the big questions. Why am I, one big question, why am I in this truth? Do I really understand what this truth is about? All right, when the time of the MOTB comes, will I be able to stand? You see, these are big questions that it's uncomfortable, but you have to deal with it. All right, you have to face them, And the only way we can face it is through Yahweh Bashem Yahushua in his word.
Really good. One of the reasons that we have such an explosion of depression and anxiety in our society today is because people actually don't know the meaning of their lives, much less so in previous generations.
Right, but in this truth, we know our meaning, man. All right, and it goes even further. We have to know our life. We have to know our meaning in this truth. Why are we here in this truth? What can we offer to the body of Yahweh Shai? And you can realize these things by just what? Sitting down in silence. All right, sitting down, being bored with your thoughts. You can, and examine yourself. Realize these things about yourself. What is my strength in this truth? What am I put here on this earth to do? You see?
Tons of data show this. And furthermore, we're not even looking. Why not? I'll tell you why not. We figured out a way to eliminate boredom. We've been able almost completely to shut off the default mode network in our brains. How? The answer is that thing in your pocket with the screen, which you take out even when you're standing on the street corner waiting for the light to change. Is like, I might have to wait here for 15 seconds. What are you doing? You're actually trying to not be bored because the default mode network is mildly uncomfortable because it sends you to the types of questions that you can't get your mind around, you can't get your arms around. Well, that's a big problem. That's a doom loop of meaning. If every time you're slightly bored, you pull out your phone, it's going to get harder and harder for you to find meaning. And that's the recipe for depression and anxiety and a sense of hollowness, which, by the way, are all through the roof.
Right. You brothers out there depressed or anxious all the time? Well, hey, sit with your thoughts. Be bored. All right. Confront your emotions. Confront your fears. Confront those demons. Confront yourself, man. All right. Face it head on. Don't just distract it. Don't just distract yourself by going on the phone. Face it. Because we have the tools to face it. We got prayer, we got fasting, we got the word of the Most High. Especially prayer. I can't tell you how many times I've sat with my thoughts, realized things about myself, realized demons, realized things I'm not doing right. And I just prayed, man. I just sat there alone, no TV, no phone, just sitting there, and just prayed, man.
I get it. You don't want to be bored. You need to be bored. Be bored more.
Right. Being bored is beneficial, though it may be uncomfortable. And a lot of things that are uncomfortable is really, a lot of things that make us uncomfortable is really good for us. Like such as this, being bored. Eating garlic, that's a good herb to eat every morning. It's uncomfortable to eat. It hurts your belly when you eat it. It burns, but it's good for you, man.
Tomorrow, when you go to the gym in the morning after you wake up, don't take your phone. Can you handle it? Not listening to a podcast while you're working out, just being in your head. I promise you'll have your most interesting ideas while you're working out without.
Right, you're gonna have your most interesting ideas, man. You're gonna realize things about yourself. You're gonna examine yourself. You're gonna, just letting your thoughts wander. And that's very important to do in this truth. But that was pretty much it, man. All right, let's get to these scriptures, man. So this is let's get 2 Corinthians 13 and verse 5. All right, it reads, "Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Hamashiach Yahushua is in you, except ye be reprobates." All right, let's read that in NLT. It says, "Examine yourself to see if your faith is genuine." Right. See if your actions align up with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Do you truly believe? These are things that you have to ask yourself, and they're uncomfortable uncomfortable thoughts to have, but let alone you have to deal with it. You have to face these thoughts. All right. And again, to be able to do that, you got to sit alone. You got to sit with your thoughts. You got to be bored, because if you're constantly distracting yourself, you're not going to be able to realize these things about yourself. You're not going to be able to examine yourself. You see, it's going to be harder. You see, but it says faith. See if your faith is genuine. Test yourselves. Surely you know that Yahushua Hamashiach is among you. If not, you have failed the test of genuine faith. All right. So let's get 1 Timothy. All right, 4 and verse 16. It reads, "Take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine, continue in them. For in doing this, thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee." All right, and this is, basically, advice that Apostle Paul was giving unto Timothy. Let's read that in NLT, verse 16. It reads, "Keep a close watch on how you live and on your teaching." Right. So when we go into deep thought, when we're bored, when we, sit with our thoughts, all right, we should be, examining how we live. We're living upon this earth. Are we living according to the standard of Yahweh Shem Yahushai? Am I really obeying what the Heavenly Father, told me to do? Am I obeying His word? Am I really, true in this thing? Am I sincere in this thing? Am I faithful? Am I being a good brother? Am I charitable? Am I, you have to examine all these things, and all these thoughts. It can be uncomfortable, but again, you have to face them, all right, and deal with them. All right, if it's something wrong that you're doing, and then you find that out through, practice. Find that out through sitting with your thoughts. All right, fix it. And we have the tools to fix it. Prayer, fasting, going to the scriptures, having the word help us. You see? But it says, keep a close watch on how you live and on your teaching. Stay true to what is right for the sake of your own salvation and the salvation of those who hear you. All right? Let's get 2 Corinthians, all right, 2 and 10. Let's see. All right, 2 Corinthians 10 and 4, it reads, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High, to the pulling down of strongholds." Right. This battle that we're fighting, all right, it's not a carnal battle. All right, fought with, all right, worldly weapons like a pistol or an M4. You see, it says, "But mighty through the Most High." Right. This word, this truth, is spiritual. All right, this warfare that we're fighting is a spiritual warfare. All right, and it's being fought, all right, by this word. Our main weapon is this word, as it says, all right, in Hebrews, real quick. Let's get this real quick. Hebrews 4 and 12. All right, it reads, "For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. You see, so this word, all right, is a powerful weapon. All right, and it's only wielded by the elect. All right, the true believers of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It says, and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and then the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart. Right. So when you're sitting down, all right, with your thoughts, and you're, basically examining yourself, all right, you're trying to, basically fix yourself. Guess what? Use this word, because guess what? It says dividing asunder the soul and spirit, and the joints and the marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and the intents of heart. Going to NLT, it says it exposes our innermost thoughts and desires, man. You see, face these demons head on, all right, with this word, man. All right, this is how we can fight this spiritual battle. It's not a carnal one, but it's a spiritual one. This is how we can fight this spiritual battle. All right, through the word of the Most High, we have the weapons. All right, the Heavenly Father equipped us with the weapons and the armor to be able to withstand against this battle, man. All right. We're going to get that Ephesians a little soon. Well, when I get to that. But let's get Ephesians 2. Not Ephesians. 2 Corinthians 10. And let's see. Verse 4. All right, it says, for the weapons of warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. All right. And what is that main stronghold that's over this world? Christianity. All right. The doctrine of Esau, his philosophies. There's a lot of strongholds in this world. Okay, but guess what? It's all being brought down through the word of the Most High. All right, verse 5, casting down imaginations. And let's read this in the NLT. It says, we destroy every proud obstacle that keeps people from knowing the Most High. We capture the rebellious thoughts and teach them to obey Hamashiach Yahushua. And that's the point that I want to get to. All right, I'm going to read this in the KJV. It says, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Yahushua Mashiach. You see, so when you sit down, all right, with your thoughts, you're able to catch certain thoughts, all right, and basically bring it under captivity under the word of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. Okay? Because if you allow these wicked thoughts, all right, to simmer in your head, and you just, distracting yourself, with, the phone and TV and stuff, and you just letting the thoughts overcome you, all right, eventually you're going to be overcome by these thoughts. But if you sit down, all right, bored, all right, sit down with your thoughts and you will realize these thoughts, you address them, you fight them off, you confront them head on with this word, guess what? You're putting them in subjection. You're putting them in captivity. And those thoughts no longer have power over you, all right, because you fought it. You put it in captivity, all right, through the word, all right, and through prayer and through fasting. You see? But first, it all starts with realizing your demons, realizing what's wrong with yourself. All right. We can fix it. It all starts with realizing it first. And the good way to realize these certain things is what? Sin with your thoughts. All right. It's a valuable practice to apply in this truth. All right. Let's get Psalms. All right. Psalms 1 and verse 1. Let's see, Psalms 1 and 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Verse 2, here's the point. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Right, so in this truth, let's get this word meditate. What does it mean to meditate? I got this in the Intimon Online. It says contemplation, all right, devout preoccupation, private devotions, prayer, you see? So you're supposed to be in deep, all right, prayer in this truth, all right, putting away the phone, putting away distractions, and just sitting there in prayer, sitting there in thought, all right? And you even, just meditating on the scriptures, man. Meditate, and that's how you really build yourself up. All right, in the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, meditating upon these scriptures, going and meditating on particular accounts that you read, meditating on certain scriptures to cut a Christian, stuff like that. That's how you become strong in the milk, strong in the word. It says thought, reflection, right? Self-examination. You got to reflect on yourself. All right. What are you doing too much of? What are you doing too less of? What are you not doing? Stuff like that. All right. Basically, improving yourself. All right, in this truth, man. All right. That can the best way to improve yourself is what? To realize your faults. All right. It says study. It says, and directly from Latin, it says a thinking over. All right, meditation. It says to think over, reflect. You see, so meditation isn't just sitting down in a crisscross applesauce position, and humming and shit like hum, like the monks do. No, man, meditation. You just thinking. All right, you just reflecting. All right, you just sitting there in a quiet place and just just thinking, man. All right, and if you're not thinking on the scriptures, hey, just let your thoughts roam. All right, let your thoughts roam and examine your thoughts. All right, and if you do it enough, you're gonna realize stuff about yourself that you didn't realize. All right, things that you're not doing. All right, things that you're doing too much of, demons that you may have that need to be addressed. You see, there's a lot of benefit. All right, to just sitting down with your thoughts, man, and not distracting yourself with endless media. All right, and entertainment. So let's go back. So one is blessed. All right, in verse 2 it says, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Right, so we're supposed to be meditating, all right, in these scriptures, man. All right, day and night, constantly thinking about these scriptures. All right, just have a day, or even just an hour or 30 minutes of your day, just sitting by yourself, all right, alone. All right, and just meditating on the scriptures, man. All right, examining yourself. All right, thinking about ways to improve yourself in this truth, really in this world. In amongst being other people, being around other people. All around, just examining. All right, how you do things and what you can do better. And just being bored and sitting with your thoughts. That's a valuable practice. In this truth, man, to do. To help you recognize certain things about yourself, demons that you may have, and things that you may be doing wrong. But that's pretty much it, man. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. That was straight to the point. And with that, just want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rechakwadash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations unto the elect. Shalom.